Wonderful, yes? Well, happy holidays to you all. Merry Christmas. And extending a Happy New Year to you all. That's coming up soon. Those of you who are guests, my name is Michael Mirdad, and I serve here as part of our spiritual leadership. We have a very unique group of people. It's just, beginners on the path, also masters on the path. I mean, our center seems to attract quite an array, but it's not to say that it's not for beginners. I do remember somebody recently saying they didn't understand a single thing I said on one of the Sundays. I don't know what that was about. Like, what could I have been talking about? But they somehow knew it was truth, and they still loved it, and they're still coming back all the time. But it was kind of funny to hear, and I'm like, really? Haven't heard that since I was married. I'm kidding. Just kidding. I don't understand you, Michael. Welcome to my world. Anyway, no. So we have a beautiful group of people, and one of the things I really appreciate most is not just that we have a gathering place and the types of people, the variety and open-mindedness. That's all just stellar, but also there just seems to be a commitment in the folks that tend to like what we do, a commitment towards going as high as possible. Nothing gratuitous, nothing just, same old, same old. So that's kind of cool. So it just keeps launching everything to a different level. And it's sort of, and typically I ask what you want me to talk about. So I can do that. But obviously it's a holiday, so I can go with that too. Thank you. The pen thieves have struck again. Is there anything dear to your heart that you want me to add to, incorporate into today?
Ascension. Innocence. Being present.
You have another one? That pen just ascended, so. Oh, these are new. So what broke off was the little tip, the cover. Yeah, it does now. Next, ascension.
The true essence of gift giving.
Inner child.
Celebration.
Okay, one sec.
13th dimension.
Being present.
Okay, one sec.
Pure freedom.
Ecstasy.
It's today, man.
What?
Family.
Okay. I take back everything I said about you folks. I wish you were simpler people. Yeah, so I mean the topics are all over the place, and it doesn't matter. I'll work it in somehow. One thing that you brought up, the gift giving and the presents and innocence, and this is the funny thing. We still think of the holidays or birthdays or associated with gift giving. There is no greater gift than yourself. In your sane mind. Not just you in your flamboyant or your narcissistic self mind, The real you. To be able to imagine this. Imagine if you have a partner and you say, what would you like to give each other? Well, you could still give. That's cool. But what if two people said, I'm going to promise that throughout that day, from sunup to sundown or 6 till midnight or whatever it is, I am going to, as much as I can, give you my real self. How cool is that? That means, and I'm committed to you giving me that gift, which means I'm going to also commit to seeing your real self, not just sitting there waiting for it. Really? Okay, go ahead. Waiting for their higher self. But I'm committed to seeing that, because even if you slip, I'm going to contribute in bringing you back. You see? Wouldn't that be amazing? So that's the gift giving, that we think of presents spelled as items, but it's the presence of God, really. The tree symbolizes life even in the darkest moments. That there is still life. The pagan concept of, I say pagan meaning there's people that live this in their lives, that there is this life even in the darkest times. But that's what resurrection is about. So all these years we had this concept of the tree, the greenery, the even in darkest times there's still life. Well, that's very cool, obviously. They were celebrating the return of the Son of God, but it was the sun in the sky. So it was still understanding that this is a dark moment, but in the very darkest moment of the year, 1 second later, the sun is already coming back. So there's always life, there's always hope. You see, it's always a metaphor. But some people did end up making it about the orb in the sky. And about, let's celebrate that our crops will be healthy this, pretty soon they're like, well, why don't we just sacrifice somebody too and see if that helps generate a little more hope. And they twisted it up, But to realize, so Jesus says, not only will you look in the sky and see the potential coming, the returning of the sun every year, I'm going to be the Son, spelled differently. I'm going to be the Son of God to remind you that you too are that light. So you need to come back even after your darkest moments. So it's this whole encouragement, be a present unto yourselves. Be a gift. Be the light. Even in the darkest time, be the tree. And under the tree is the presence, because the foundation of the tree is the presence of God. How can I see life in dark times if I have forgotten a proper foundation? So there's really a beauty, of just such a depth and a beauty to this time of the year. There's a long time ago, a few thousand years ago, there was a great teacher. He was one of the, if not the greatest, it's like the magician card in Tarot. This individual's name was Melchizedek. Melchizedek lived at the time of Abraham, long story short, and was a previous lifetime of Jesus, by the way. But Melchizedek was this person that didn't apparently get born, nor did he die. So he beamed in and he beamed out. He's a higher dimensional being. He's the soul of Jesus that knows he's the Christ. Jesus didn't just become the Christ then. I mean, he remembered we've always been the Christ and all of us are. But he remembered. Well, as Melchizedek, he was embodying that presence, that magical presence. And Abraham was like wowed by this individual that became his friend. Melchizedek was known as a priest king, just like Jesus. So he was a spiritual teacher, but yet an authority as well. So just very magical history. But what he does is he says to live a holy life, this is what I recommend. And that was lost to history. Except it wasn't. There was a group of people called the Essenes that said, let's take those teachings and use them as the foundation of a school of people that are dedicated to living the Christ life. The Essene community in the Qumran area. And they have a special temple. It was called, Carmel is the name of the place, the Temple Carmel, Mount Carmel. So they had this beautiful place, a couple of locations, and it was a beautiful school, thriving, but they stayed kind of on their own. Became known as the School of Prophets. So Elijah's the one that said, let's take what Melchizedek said, let's make this happen. And then Elisha, brings it more to life, and Samuel's involved, and all these great prophets, but it's called the School of Prophets. Because the Essene community was like a blend of nuns and priests and pagan priests and priestesses. It's like a blend of the two. They're religious and very, strong in their beliefs and their rituals, even like the Jewish leaders. Very strong in their religiousness. Yet not just in the text material. They were also into ceremony. They prayed every day to angels. So the Essenes were like mystical and traditional at the same time. Wonderful beings. The name Essene means the expectant ones. Because the school of prophets which included the prophets of the Old Testament, but that was lost. People forgot that. Those prophets of the Old Testament started saying towards the end of the time after captivity, this is what this is about. We're supposed to be living, not just getting by, that the Vedas teach us, the Tao teaches us, the Ten Commandments teach us how to get by. Someone slotted in there and said, we're not actually here just to try to follow the rules. We're here to remember who we are, and then we're not here anymore. We're here to go home, strangely enough, because you're not even here. This is a dream. We're here to wake up. So the Essenes had this concept of we're the expectant ones. They're not just here holding space. They're not just doing fantastic ceremony. They were actually saying, we're here to birth. They're the expectant ones. We're here to give birth to the woman who's going to carry the Christ child. So for generations, they had purification, generation and generation after generation, so that they become so pure. Someone in their community would become so pure in mind, body, and soul, she could hold the frequency of the Christ baby. And that's Mother Mary, who was an Essene, and her parents were Essenes. Now scholars are coming to understand that, but who cares? I wasn't waiting around for them to get it anyway. So it's kind of fantastic. So Jesus, you could say, is an Essene. When they call him a rabbi, you only call a rabbi when you know he's a trained priest. Who was he trained with? He was an Essene. He wasn't the Sanhedrin. He wasn't part of any other group. He was an Essene. But he didn't identify, as much as you might think, as a male, as a Jew, as an Essene. He didn't identify with body at all. Even if he had to, there were just moments. There's a difference between when he's saying the Son of Man means the material me that you can see, then he'll make references to the Son of God, which means the real me. So there's an understanding, yes, I'm here, but he's not identifying as that, but he's teaching us. You're not here to argue whether you're black or white, male or female or anything else. You're beyond that. You're just dreaming that you have blonde hair versus brown hair. I almost said blue hair, but whatever. So that ancient civilization, that ancient group, the Essenes, they disbanded. When? When Jesus was born. Why? Because they were done. They were here to bring him about. But interestingly enough, even the Essenes made way for the birth of the Christ child, the human Christ child. They're gone, but they're back. A lot of them are here at the Global Center for Christ Consciousness and a few other centers in the world. Unfortunately, most of the centers that even have these kinds of people, it's a center that would be into Christ consciousness. That's how you would know that they're probably reincarnated Essenes. But most of them don't know that. It's a sad thing in a way. If they were aware, they would create more of a network like the Gnostics did at that time, creating a network of teachings. And you could go from one country to another and know that you're with other people that are into the real thing, the real teachings. They're unconscious, and you know because they're not saying it blatantly what they're here to do. Thank God, at least we're here saying, we're not saying we're better than, it has nothing to do with better than. It's just that we're conscious, that we're about Christ consciousness. We're not about just like dogma and rules, and we've never talked about things like that. You wear certain clothes or eat certain foods, which starts to go cultish anyway. It's not what we're about, it's consciousness. And, so the Essenes made the way for the physical birth of the Christ, the mother and then the Christ child. Boom, it happens. The people in the inn are Essenes, the ones that say no room in the inn. What they're really saying is this is not a place you want to be because it was filled with a bunch of drunken partiers and it was dangerous. They said go, and they took them to a place where they could have privacy and give birth. So there's lots of this network. A lot, Pilate's wife was connected to the Essenes. There's a big network people don't know about, but that's fine. At the end of the day, we're reliving this. That's why the Daughters of Heaven came through as a teaching through this particular center, because the Daughters of Heaven are probably the most per capita, the strongest presence of former Essenes having come back. Now, the Essenes, again, the expectant ones. And it's expectant for the mother, but also the Christ child. The Christ child's born. The Essenes disband. Now, at this time in our lives, I look at this and think, well, wait, but if we're back and they birthed the physical Christ, we're supposed to be helping to birth the spiritual, the consciousness. Not the thing, not the baby, the consciousness. And that's what we're doing. So we don't just kind of have information here on a Sunday. We don't just have any gratuitous anything. There really is something deeper going on. But we don't say that every week. We do our thing, and some people go, wow, that was kind of cool. That was deep, or that was whatever. It was exactly what I was thinking about. It's really cool. On one level, everybody gets to hear what they felt they needed. Generally speaking, that's the feedback we get. But there's something else happening underneath all that. This magical weaving together and memories being activated, that we're actually not here just to kind of have teachings, nor deep teachings, both of which do happen. We're here for something even greater. So I commit myself, meaning I being any of us, I commit myself to not just having another Christmas or just another New Year. I refuse to let the New Year be anything like last year and the year before and 10 years before. I can't do that anymore. You just divorce yourself from it. I'm done with that. Limitations and patterns. It doesn't mean you want to create like some perfectionist consciousness. Just kind of, wow, I just feel so grateful to be awake. Sleeping doesn't feel attractive to me like it once did. Sleeping meaning any forms of addiction and whatever else. So we're under this belief that Jesus came to the world to wash away your sins. So fundamentalists, emphasis on the word mental, fundamentalists would emphasize you're a sinner. You've heard this, right? You've heard this. You're a sinner. Jesus died for your sins, so you should be grateful, etc. But if Jesus died for your sins, it makes it possible for you to be a sinner. You're made in the image of God, so how are you a sinner? There's actually only one sin of omission or commission. Only one, the belief you're separate from God. That's because the word sin means mistake. So there's only one mistake I can make. I mean, it looks like I made 100,000 just today. But there's only one real one. You know why? Because no other mistake that I have ever made in my life to myself or to others ever happened that wasn't rooted in my belief that I'm separate from God. I cheated on my wife. That's because you believe you're separate. You were cheated on because you believe you were separate. You did this. You worried about money because you're separate. You're worried about the fate of the nation. You're worried about who won the election. All of it's because you think you're separate. That's the only way these things could ever materialize, because everything comes from consciousness. And if we have a terrible world where there's such a thing, even a possibility of rape and molestation and war and hurt and so on, how can those things happen if there is but God? And some people will justify and say, well, because, God wants to see how we handle that. No. Don't let people make up that kind of garbage. It's just because they can't believe or understand in perfect love. What if love is perfect? Then love cannot allow me to suffer, to see how I do. So what's really happening then? We're doing this to ourselves. And that's sad, and we need to stop, but you can try to make yourself not do harm or receive harm. Setting boundaries is helpful. Checking in with yourself that you're not being hurtful is helpful. All these things help. But the root is that I believe I'm separate from love. I need to work on that, not just my behaviors, not just alter my behaviors and become a little nicer, a little less reactive. Also, if I'm not separate, how would I respond to this incident? So you're driving down the road and somebody cuts you off and then flips you off just to add salt in the wound. You cut me off. Why are you flipping me off? Just to add salt in the wound. In the rearview mirror, they're like, But how can I respond to that? I'll show you. Boom, 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 boom with your car on the side of their car. Or if you ever have those fantasies like some people, the railroad cow rail in front, just boom, knocking cars off in front of you. Those are the fantasies of some. But, not just some. People are going, yeah, that's me. Those of you who had that fantasy, did you ever have the one about the spatula in the front of your car that lifts and throws the cars behind you? Anyway, I never had that thought, ever. I saw it on the Roadrunner cartoon. Anyway, so those are the thoughts you can have. But you can say, but if I'm not separate, what would I be thinking? And you would only go, love and a cry for love. The person's expressing love, you too, love you, or a cry for love. You see, how do you respond to a cry for love? And then when you do that, you're acting as God. And when you're acting as God, you become God. And remember that that's what you are. And it's the perfect cure to it all. You know, and don't shame yourself for having those thoughts. I shared this story once somewhere in history here that you know, I had a brother who he was trying to keep an open mind, but he was always kind of brushing me off this spiritual stuff. You know, he'd introduced me to his friends. This is my brother, the guru, and I just laughed because I thought it was funny. But he didn't think much of all this. One day, he wakes up in the middle of the night. He's very disturbed, and he has this bad dream, and he wants it interpreted. He calls me the guru, the quack, to interpret his dream. And it's like, now in that it's just all in a split second. What's going on? You know, hey man, listen, hey, because he talked like that. Hey man. He just kind of grunts most of the time. Hey. So he would go, hey, what's going on? Hey, I had this dream, man. I want you to interpret it for me. Because it was really, I'm like, okay, what's going on? Well, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened. Now, can you interpret it? I go, now there's all in a split second, my mind. I can interpret that dream. You're going to die soon. Click. You know. Now, that's not what I did, but I have to admit somewhere in my mind, this is my moment. I could have gone, you need to be kinder to a brother. I don't know which brother it was referring to, but I could have come up with, there's lots of angles. But our job is to try to reel all that in as quickly as we can and, answer as God would answer and put that all aside. And we can do that. We have the ability. It's only our hurts that we are attached to that keep us from being able to just take it to a new level. I've had individuals that did some very intense betrayals, and their life fell apart afterwards, and they called me for a reading. Again, there's all kinds of visuals I'm having. Ooh, that's a good one. No, tell them that one. Oh, that's a good one too. So I get to sit there and look at the options, but at the end of the day, what would God do? What is the truth of God? And I just immediately right to what's needed, not what I react to, feel, none of that reactive stuff, just what's needed. And one person in particular, okay, well, this, here's where this is at, and this is where this is going to go, and gave him a reading on all this, and he's like, well, thank you. And it's amazing. But I didn't hang up and go, I can't believe I pulled that off. It's actually not that complicated. When you do it, you go, well, that makes sense. I don't go, he's lucky I didn't feel like it was an achievement. When we really do this, it feels organic. It doesn't feel like an achievement. Well, I told them this, but I should have, such and such. None of that happened inside of me, honestly. So I wasn't shocked, but I was grateful that I made that choice. And that's about it. Other than that, there wasn't really a surprise or shock. I was just, wow, that's nice. That's the way it should be. I'm not saying all of us that are wounded, especially recently, should or could go and contact hurtful people and just turn it all around. Sometimes it needs time, but that's based on our beliefs, not God's. So just know that you have all the power to do anything At any time, we have the power. You are encouraged to own those moments when you feel like you can't. It's all right for you to say, not today. I'd love to be in a joyous, happy mood, but 15,000 things just went wrong. I'm just staying home. Well, you want to go out into a movie? Sometimes just say no. You're not even able to drag yourself to a warm bath. And that's okay. Then curl up on the couch, make a fort, and sleep. Do something that is within reason that is called healthy. The healthiest thing you can do in the moment. You don't have to, somebody died yesterday and you're going to be over it because you're so Christy. Cry if you need to cry. Do whatever you need to do. Don't shame something that comes up. This whole thing that, Christ died for your sins. The Christ in you also has to give yourself room. It's already forgiven. Well, what if I have a moment like this person in the Bible, that person in the Bible, or someone in history, or even just in my family, or me? All of them have to be treated the same. Love. So what does love look like today? And sometimes love is for you not to talk to somebody because you're not there. You're not quite clear enough to be able to put two words together. Take a break, breathe, and imagine that even Jesus himself would say, let's just let it go for now. Giving ourselves room, giving ourselves time. So knowing that if I've wronged you, it can't be the Christ in me that would have done such a thing, but it can be the separated me. Okay? But I'm not really separate. So if Jesus died for your sins, this is where fundamental versus spiritual interpretation switches things. One says you're a sinner, Jesus died for your sins. No, he didn't. He died to prove that your sins are not true or real. There's a big difference. Both of them say he died for your sins. Two interpretations. The fundamentalists look at the literal, spiritual people look at the deeper meaning. He died for your sins means there are sins and you're lucky he died for them. So, if you do a certain something or other, he'll come back and save you. A few of us. And the rest are going to hell. I'm going to shoot for a deeper meaning than that. Call me silly. Call me living dangerously. But I'm going to just shoot for door number 2, Monty. Tell them what we have. Well, door number 2, salvation. So that's where you go. Jesus died to prove that sins were not real. How? Because the wages of sin are death. And when he overcame death, he proved if death is an illusion, so is the cause of death. Doesn't just mean death, it means karma. Don't forget that. The wages of sin is karma. So your mistakes as a mortal human being, your mistakes will result in death to some people and karma, lifetimes, and other lifetimes in other teachings. They're the same thing. Think about it. Whether you're coming back and paying in lifetimes or in hell, there's still punishment. And Jesus is saying, none of it is true. But then why isn't it switching? Why haven't we gotten it? And that's the weird thing. It's not switching over because we don't accept it yet. But the time is coming when an old culture gave birth to Jesus, the baby, and now we're giving birth to the Christ. It is now that the Christ is the second coming. Now is the second coming is our awareness of accepting it. And the second coming cannot take place if I still believe in the wages of sin being death or reincarnation. It's okay that people said, no, it kind of feels a little better. One of them, I'm just burning forever. And the other one is, I'm just burning in relationship after relationship and karmic circumstance, dying in war here, stabbed in the back there, old age here, just drama. One's just quicker and seemingly more immediate. The other is just this ongoing thing called karma. I know that one sounds better, but that's only because part of us still likes the appeal of dragging things on. If I really get God and what Christ really is, neither of those make sense. But there's a part of us that goes, well, yeah, really, it doesn't make sense. More past lives, please. Because you want to have long, just like credit cards, you want to pay it long time and you don't want to know the interest rates. And there's nothing interesting about those interest rates. All they are is compounded guilt and shame. And I have to pay more. It never happens where just apples for apples. It's apples for crates of apples because the interest rate built up on it. And what's that? Karma and guilt. As soon as I'm on the other side and they say, well, you're doing pretty well, but there's this one incident, this issue you have to go work on. Just telling me that I did that and I owe means there's karma, means I'm not perfect. It means I'm not holy. And yet I showed up. So I'm confirming the whole thing. Being born again and the birth of the Christ spiritually means I'm awake. I'm starting to see through this stuff. I'm awake. I get it. Buddha's concept of becoming awake, and we've talked about his role in all this before, but his idea is I'm waking up means I'm seeing through the game. This thing he calls, the wheel of life and the wheel of karma, it's an illusion. He didn't say we're wrong for believing it. It's an illusion, but it's one people believed in. Most people don't even know they believe in it. They fall prey to it. The wheel of karma. I'm not a holy person. Therefore, I'm sucked into the mechanisms of the universe, which involves me being purified again and again, lifetime after lifetime, till I become a good person. Good. And Buddha's saying, and you have to break this. First, by not feeding into more karma. So try to be a nice person. Secondly, by letting the old karma burn off. Does that make sense? It's totally brilliant. Jesus comes along and says, I'm going to up you the ante on that. None of it's even true. It's not about don't do more karma and pay off your old karma. There's no such thing. So he takes it to another level. Buddha's saying in just a few lifetimes, you could purify what would have been 100. Jesus saying you could do it now. If you could completely accept what? That you're improving yourself? No, has nothing to do with your efforts. What if you're already innocent? What if you're already holy and you just chose to not believe it? Then all I need to do is accept the truth of God. And that's what that means, the truth. I am the way, the truth. It's what it means, the good news of the Lord. The good news of the Lord means I am as God created me. Now, does that mean I don't have to fuel the car? I could just think, fuel tank, full tank. I still, as you're pumping gas, I can't believe I still have the karmic repercussions of having to pump gas. That's not helping. Laugh at it. Stand at the pump, putting gas in your car, and be able to go, isn't this funny? I am as God created me, but today I don't feel like it. I'm still going through the motions. Isn't that funny? I still reacted to somebody. Forgiveness is the key. Forgiveness is the bridge to going from the old dispensations to the new. And right now it looks like, and we really thank Jesus for being born to teach that. Well, it gets even better. Jesus is not identifying with a historic character. He's identifying with a consciousness, and it's one that he's saying, you have to awaken yourselves to the same consciousness. There's an interesting story where Krishna has, they call them gopis, supporters, followers, but the female followers. So these gopis, and one in particular, his primary gopi is his right-hand person, Radha. And she's with him and she says, can we walk in the forest? And so Krishna is walking through the forest with Radha. There's this gorgeous beauty to him, his energy, and her love for him is so beautiful, the scenery. And then she sees that other gopis are in the forest here and there, and they're like, she gets to walk so close to him. They're getting a little jealous, and she's kind of like, that's right. Jesus chose me. Jesus, but it's Krishna. Krishna, can I ride on your back? And he says yes. He says yes, this is brilliant. Sure, but he knows what he's doing. He's going to let her feel even more special and even more better than the other gopis that are now getting upset. But as she's riding on his back, he disappears and she falls to the ground. And then she realizes, oh, ego got in there. She calls out, I'm so sorry. He reappears and they walk again. This is part of what was happening to Jesus when he resurrects. Magdalene shows up to find him, and where's my Lord? Where's my master? Where's his body? It's a normal thing, but she's identifying with him as a body. Where is his body? Where have you taken his body? I've come to give him proper, care, oils and so on, right? She's identifying like Radha with Krishna. I want him to be a thing. And it's normal because this is what humans do. We think about the historic Jesus. Krishna is saying, I'm going to disappear if you keep thinking of me that way. Jesus, she sees, and she can't even recognize him. Sure, it's a possibility he was messing with her. So he looked like Jimmy Durante instead. Oh, how you doing, Mary? Or whatever that might have looked like or sounded like. Most of you aren't old enough to know what that means, but so what if he showed up like that? And she's like, sir, have you seen my Lord's body? Whether it was him messing with it, or you have to understand, he was so spiritualized, her mortal eyes can't see him. She didn't recognize him. What did he have to do? Well, one of two things only. He had to densify himself enough to be visible to her, recognizable visible, or he had to ramp up her consciousness enough, or of course both. But he speaks to her, and then the focus starts zeroing in. When he's speaking to her, she realizes who he is. But then she reaches out to touch him. No, don't touch me. For various reasons, I can't get to it all. But one of them is, you're still trying to touch a body, and I'm not a body. Don't touch me as a body. I want you to reach out to me spiritually. You guys get what I'm saying there? So imagine that that's not just a story, and it's not just in the Bible, that because it is, and that it's not just Jesus and Mary. What if it's God and us? What if it's Christ consciousness and us? Stop reaching for just the mortal body. Reach for the spiritual. Where is my master's body was her focus. Those are the words recorded. She was looking for the person. That's what we do because it's familiar. So why don't we commit a new year? But why don't we also commit this week? Don't look at bodies. Don't look at mortals. Don't look at flawed beings. I know it sounds like a lot to ask for, but just play with it and give it a shot. So how do I do that? Is certain rituals, certain words? No, just God, show me how to see this through your eyes. It's that simple. But you could add a little commitment to it. Don't tell God to make you see through its eyes. Desire to do it. It could be somebody walking across the crosswalk as you're stopped at a light. Just do it. I am committed to seeing them through your eyes. Now, you might be able to report back by the end of today. 5 times today, it was so magical. Great. Don't forget to also apply it to the people at home. Okay? The people that every day, people in your workplace, people, family, the ones that are challenging, but they're only challenging because of our belief systems that they're somehow more flawed than the person you don't know walking across the street because you haven't moved in with that one. We have no problem finding an array of faults, flaws, and so forth with people. But again, if you do that, you cannot have these two things at the same time. You can't have Christ consciousness and fault finding at the same time. Which one do you want to see today? The one you decide to see is the one you will see, but the one you decide to see is the one you will be. I become Christed not by how often a day I meditate. It helps. Not by how many books I've read. It helps. It's the application. How many people have you decided to birth the Christ in today? And some of them don't even know of it. Some of them never heard of it. Some of them don't want to be Christed today. It doesn't matter. And there's going to be people that tell you, have you heard that when people are messed up, you're supposed to leave them messed up so that you don't invade their karma? It's okay, Michael. It's okay. I understand the flawed logic of that. But to say that's their karma, you're removing their chance of healing their karma. By what? Seeing the Christ in them? How could that be a wrong thing? Well, because it's their path. How do you know their path isn't to wake up today? Besides, what's the thing that you're somehow eliminating? Their karma? It's not real. So Jesus shows you this. There's an example of a blind man. And his apostles are like, but Jesus, this guy's been born blind. So according to our rules, that's his problem. If he was born blind, it's because he was a sinner. His parents must have sinned and passed the sins down to him. Jesus is like, talk to the hand. Talk to the hand. No. Jesus says, no, that's not how this works. I was born to change all these rules, these faulty or flawed rules. So what if that's true, guys? Then don't take it on and try to perfect all this today. But when you have a child who's in the loop of drug addiction, see their holiness even though they can't see it. It doesn't mean enable the behavior. It doesn't mean, well, I know you usually use money for drugs, but I know the real you won't, so here's some money for Christmas. If you know that's a direction they'll use, to harm themselves. Be as wise as serpents, gentle as doves, but wise as serpents. Be awake, be aware. It's okay for you to know the games of this world and not give in to them. But can you introduce something else? The birth of Christ every day. Angelus Silesius once said, it's often credited to William Blake, but I'm just paraphrasing, if the Christ were born 1,000 times in Bethlehem, but not in me, it's all in vain. So think about that. How many Christmases can we still talk about the baby Jesus? But are we any nicer? Are we actually not even just the nicer, no bad karma, creating bad karma anymore, and trying to eliminate the old karma? That's nice. That's a good way to go. But there's another level. Am I committed to seeing the Christ in others and becoming the Christ within myself? And you don't have to do it exactly the way Jesus did it or the way any of us tell you to do it. In your own way, somehow. But if there was a formula at all, one, ask for God to help you see that way. Two, forgive when you don't see that way. Forgive others who don't appear to look that way to you. Just simple things. It might not sound as cool as fasting for weeks, going up on the red rocks, and barking at the moon and, sitting in certain positions, hand mudras, and your eyes to your third eye and la, 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 I know it's not as fancy because when you do that, you go, man, my body was buzzing afterwards. Wow, that's cool. I understand that there's fancy things you can do spiritually, so do them. But why leave out this technique? To see as God sees and to forgive when you don't. That's it. If there's a shortcut, that's the one. Because to see as God sees means I am. Not I'm trying, I am. As soon as I'm asking to see as God, then I am as God. And I may get it perfectly the first time try, and it may take me 100 times, but I definitely can see and feel there's a shift. The world that seems to have power doesn't lose its power because you come up with some sort of really cool mantra to disempower the world and its stuff. It's amazing when you ask to see as God sees and be as God is, there's this tranquility that was always there, but not seen because you can't have two things at the same time, like I said. The divine mind and judgment at the same time. Choose to surrender judgments, call on the divine mind, and all of a sudden, things start to shift. Foremost doesn't mean suddenly, oh, look, 3 moons and 2 suns. Like it doesn't mean you change the cosmos yet, but it does mean, wait a minute, 5 minutes ago I was all bound up and right now I feel peace. That's why they call it the peace that surpasses understanding. That's why Jesus greeted people consistently, peace be with you. He's downloading the frequency of God right to the now moment. Gandhi himself is assassinated by someone who he replies for killing him, Om Shanti, peace to you. I mean, most of us can't even have somebody act annoying and still wish them peace. He was killed by somebody and on his way to the ground, he's blessing him. That's huge, man. And that's the consciousness we have to practice more of in our day-to-day lives. I know there's people that hurt us and some very selfish and hurtful behaviors, but I promise you this, those people, if they knew who they were, could not do that. Do you agree? If they knew they were part of God, could they do that? So what's the solution? I don't know, make them come back 100 times. Yeah, they still might not get it. The solution is you try to see the light in them that they don't know. You try to see that they're not separated. Although I feel like I believe they're, but I'm going to affirm it's not true. Despite the way you treat me, there is a light in you made in the perfect image of God. And I affirm that come forward. And Doesn't mean they say sorry. They might not. But just let it be. Peace and let it be. Affirm and let it be. On the seventh day, God rests. Do what you need to do for 6 days in your processes, but on the seventh day, step back and let the power work. Right? Please take a few centering breaths. Just centering for a moment. We're going to follow this in with our candle lighting meditation and our closing prayer, of course. Just centering enough, quiet enough to let something shift inside. We're not teaching right now, we're just letting go. I breathe in, I am, and on the exhale, I hear the word at peace or the word relaxed. You're affirming, so you're centering yourself. I am the light of God. I know it. I don't always believe it. I sometimes doubt it. Sometimes I forget. But I am the light of God. I thank God that this can never change. And if ever I have forgotten, I'm using today's ritual to help remind me. If you don't have a candle and want one, raise a hand. Okay. Hold your candle in front of yourself. You don't want to go so far into a meditation that you drop your candle or that it tilts to one side and spills hot wax on you. Remember, there's no more karma. You don't need to burn yourself to prove anything. The light of God. I am the light of God. I don't just have to pray for the light of God. Even when you pray to experience the light of God, what you're really saying is, I forgot. I am the light of God. The ushers are going to light the candles and the ends of the rows. All we ask that you do is then turn and light the candle person next to you. Make sure their eyes are open when you do it. Light the candles on the end and then start just passing down the flame to the next candles. If you're online and you didn't know, it's the Christmas candle lighting service, so we incorporate this. And if you have a candle, you're welcome to light one and join us. Do both sides of the aisle. Yeah, thank you guys. There's also people coming up from back there, so the center section will get done. Nice job. The light that I am, I shine upon you, and light their candles. Just know that. You're not just lighting candles, you're shining your light. You're sharing your light. Keep your hand under it to make sure no wax drips, please. Keep your hair back. We don't want any past life memories of that. Once you have that candle, look at the light. Look at the light for a moment. It's okay. Have your eyes open and look at the light. Just be with it for a moment. Its warmth, its glow, its beauty. It's a symbol of the light that I am. This light can bring warmth and light, illumination to people. That's what we're supposed to be doing. We're never supposed to be using our light to burn others with our words, our opinions. Just see that light. It's just beautiful. It's simple. This light is the light that I am. Close your eyes for a moment and try to imagine it in your third eye and not in front of you anymore for just a moment. Close your eyes. Can you still imagine the light without seeing it? If you lose sight of it, open your eyes and get it memorized again, and then close your eyes again. Beautiful. Open your eyes. You can put one hand behind the flame and blow it out. Look at it, memorize it, blow it out, and then hold it steady and vertical. Hold it steady and vertical. Don't let it drip. Can you still see the light in your mind? You must. The candle is Jesus, the light is Christ. Focus on the light in your mind. I am a holy child of God, even though I sometimes forget. Begin focusing on the sense of gratitude. Really, really feeling grateful that you are as God created you to be. It's not arrogant to give thanks that you are God's holy child. It's actually arrogant to think that you're not. And then give thanks for the light that everyone else also has. Despite external things, give thanks for them. Now, that light in the center of your mind, being Christ, just like Jesus for a moment here, he knew, he walked and he healed people that needed it. In your mind, let the images of anyone that you're drawn to for healing and extend healing to them. It could be prosperity issues, mortality issues, whatever the case. Give thanks. Extend love and light to them. The light that I am, I share with you, my brother, sister. Even if it's people that have been hurtful, give them the light that will keep them from ever doing that again. You're doing God's work on the inside. Remember to also do it on the outside whenever you can. A last couple breaths, anchoring true appreciation that all of this is real. The work you've just done is real. And then very slowly come back into the room. Cindy, turn and blow their candle out, please. Thank you. Gradually back to the room. Let the candles cool off and dry up. What did you learn or hear today that makes the most sense to you? What or experience in the meditation, what did you hear or see or feel or experience that you can own as anchoring in as an actual change in you? Something, even if it's intellectual, some sort of aha, epiphany, or shift. Yes? Behold, all that I see I make new. Do I want the ego to see it? No, because the ego can never really see. It only makes up stuff. All that I see, I make holy. That's how we are when we're plugged into God. Yes? That God lives within us as us. Who else? Yes?
Real arrogance is to think that we are not children of God.
Yeah, beware. Just resist that temptation to think that we're not children of God. It's just not true. It's not really something you even have to fight. It's just not true. Yeah, that was a good one, huh? I've never heard that or said that. But that was good. Yeah, the candle is Jesus, the light is Christ. I was like, whoa. Yes? Gentle as a dove, but wise as serpents. Nice. Yes, dear. Be holy. Be holy, yes. Who else? Anybody else? Yes?
Perfect love doesn't require redemption.
Right. Perfect love doesn't actually, it's okay. We once thought we're just totally sinners and we're up creek. That's the old dispensation. The next one was, okay, we're sinners, we're bad, but there's hope for a few of us. Do you see some progression here in where this is going? Why do we want to stick on that one when we know there's already been a shift? The old school thinking, we're sinners and we're going to die because we're bad. The next one, yeah, that's true, but there's some hope for a few. And now, wait. No, it's everyone. We're all holy children. Our behaviors aren't going to get us home. That's what it means. Of myself, I am nothing. It's not our behaviors, good or bad, that are going to get us home. It's the acceptance. This is what's funny. I'm trying to earn my way back home. And one of the weird ways I do it is by suffering for my sins, by paying my karma. Do you understand? Karma is an arrogant plan. I'm going to pay up enough karma to where my sins are gone. When you do it, you're going to go, oh, Jesus, I never even had any sins. It was a dream. All I needed to do was wake up from the dream. Then it gets kind of funny. Then you'll be tempted to go, I'm such an idiot for doing that. Oh, wait, now I'm stuck again. Karma, 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 because of my judging myself for doing this and dragging it out. But no, we're going to laugh at that. Yes.
The importance of forgiveness when I forget to see the light in others or when they forget to see it in me.
Right. Forgiveness. There's the absolute determination to see as God sees, but the forgiveness when I don't. And I mean in every way you can. To your preference, not to mine, to your preference. As far as I'm concerned, technically, if I leave this center, if I sit in this center and I notice somebody's got a runny nose, they have a cold, thinking that they have even the ability to have a cold is not true. I forgive myself for thinking it, and now you and I are both off the hook. Believe it or not. My forgiveness of thinking you have a cold helps heal your cold. And then I drive down the street and I see somebody on crutches. Why? I'm not seeing a holy child of God. I'm seeing a wounded child of God. Oops. Brother, sister, you don't want to roll down your window and say this, but brother, sister, I love you. Please forgive me. I was imagining that you could be less than holy and perfect and healed. Love you. Thank you. Ho'oponopono prayer. It's like that. It's like, oops, oops. And then behaviors and rudenesses. But obviously, you won't make it to work because you'll be late because of all the people you're forgiving on the way. So what you want to do at the very least is start the day with everyone I see, I choose to see as holy. Just start it with the umbrella insurance package. Even if I don't have time to stop with every one of them, got it. But the ones that still attract your attention, try to do something. And if you don't have time all day long, at the end of the day, you can go back and write all the missed thoughts. There was that one who I thought was to this, that one who I thought was to that. Just noticing, believe it or not, that they're males or females is only an opinion. That's not the real them. Oh, great. So Michael's got this thing where we're supposed to like forgive every male and female, every skin color, yeah, but you can do it as just as an intention overall. But when somebody stands out, it's worth doing it right then. Soon as somebody is obnoxious, turn on news and you can practice it there. Usually they don't say, and here's some non-obnoxious news. Usually someone in the news is going to be a problem. But it's not as easy as it might sound, even if it doesn't sound easy. It's not easy to turn on the news and see what some people do and say, but this is not the real them. God, how would you have me see that person as you see them? In our heads, the ego's going, no, this would be a good one to just hold back on. Because, they are a little bit. No, any variation means an opinion, which means a judgment. I'm not trying to make you judgment paranoid. I'm just saying, love first. Okay. We're going to share a closing song. Usually we would end now. We're going to share a closing song that beloved John took time to prepare. This is what we call the Jesus song. And we go through hand motions, the lyrics. There's only 4 lines. So please stand. So in the lost books of the Bible, we hear about Jesus sitting with the apostles at the Last Supper. And, a lot of what we hear or feel or interpret from the Bible is kind of it's not full. It's not a complete story. But just even at the Last Supper, Jesus sat with his friends. They weren't just his students. He told them, you're no longer just students, you're friends. We have a deeper connection than just an intellectual sharing. That was cool. He also sings with them, danced with them at the Last Supper. We're told a linear story, but it was tradition. The Hebrew people, they did this. They danced and they sang together, sang songs from the 23rd Psalm. They did things like that. Well, this is recorded in one of the lost books of the Bible, these lines from Jesus. They were turned into a melody, a song by someone that does what's called the Dances of Universal Peace. So I'm very grateful that she took time to share that. So they're just 4 simple lines. Read along and move along, and the movements are like this. For a torch, there's one that's a mirror, there's one for a door, and one for a way, a path, like that. Okay? And we'll do that together. We'll just sing it probably several times through. Just follow my lead if you need. All right? Begin. Begin. A torch am I to. Loud. Turn the music up, please. Hands together. Good. Away. And again, nice and loud. Hands. It goes higher. It goes high again. Hands. Only the gentleman, please. Ladies only. everybody. To everyone in the universe, nice and loud. Now just humming it. Out loud again. Let's hold. Remember this music, just like the sounds and instruments that would have been used 2,000 years ago, as Jesus himself danced with us, not just as a person, not just as a teacher, as a friend, but also as Christ, saying to the Christ in every one of us, I'm like a torch to you. I'm like a mirror. Try to see me pure, and then you're seeing yourself. I'm like a door to those who knock at me. Come forward, knock, ask, enter. And I am the way to remember who you really are. I'm here at your request, and I'm here for you to walk in. You're welcome. The answer is yes. Are you ready? And you really are. The Christ in us is really ready. We just have to own that. I am as God created me. I will to be the Christ on earth. This isn't a hope. This isn't a maybe. This isn't a someday. This is after 100 more lifetimes of evolution. It's, I really am. And I'm just no longer choosing to believe anything to the contrary, not just for myself, but in the light of other beings. And so it is. Thank you. Please be seated. We're going to do our collection and our closing prayer. I'm very grateful for our service assistant throughout the year and anybody who's served as that too. Also for our sacred readers, our ushers, love it. You know, our volunteers, our staff, our board, much appreciated, all that all of us do to make a third dimensional vessel to contain what we do here. Nice. Be as generous as you can be. We appreciate that. We use the funds for not only the functions every week, but also people of lesser means. So any donations go in the bags, any extra go in the baskets, and we use that for people of lesser means or for sometimes for special projects. Hold your love offering to your heart. There's the prosperity blessing in front of you, or it's posted online together. Please. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Thank you. Before I forget, go ahead and take care of the baskets, guys. If anybody would like to give anything extra, you can do that in the foyer as well. Make sure there's people out there for that. But for our Christmas giveaway, the board members go out and bring donations that you give us to people of lesser means. Yes, you could also do it yourself. It's just that it's great when you take a focus, 2 or more with one intention. We go and we do prayer and we ask who to share this with. It's pretty fun, spontaneous, but you should see the miracles, the faces of the people who receive these things. It's just fantastic. And every year, there's just these tearful experiences. They're so beautiful that we take donations you all share and we give that, to people of lesser means and just helping them out. And it's amazing because the prayer that's done to be guided to the, just the right people, it's pretty magical, right? Yeah, it is. So we're finishing that. Did anybody have any last comment about anything you've experienced or the song we just did before we do our closing prayer? Any last comments? Yes.
I wanted to say thank you for mentioning Melchizedek. I didn't understand that link.
You liked hearing about Melchizedek. Yeah, the priest king of Salem, which is connected to Urushalem and Jerusalem. Yeah, it's kind of funny how this magical dude is related to something called Salem, which we know later what happened to magical people there. According to this world, it doesn't pay to be magical. But we have to say no to that. Yes.
Unless you're me, Michael.
Yes.
It's not about the person or the personality form. It's about seeing
Yeah.
light from within.
That's just deep stuff. The Krishna story and the Jesus story, that these great teachers are showing you. Don't make it the form. Don't focus on the thing. It's not, and picture this. It goes from where's my master's body to where's my master's soul to I am. The thing I was looking for. It's kind of cool, but that's to come. That hasn't happened yet because people are still not willing to accept that that's the ultimate goal. I can't wait till it happens. I know, but we have to stop wishing against it. And there's a part of us that still pushes it away, our completeness. And one of the ways to know we do it is to notice other people that are still annoying that we don't want to bless. Then that tells you, then you're actually inhibiting yourself too. Please stand for our closing prayer. To you folks online, even if you're living alone or are alone during these holidays, we're going to all say happy holidays. No, we'll say Merry Christmas to you all. On 1, 2, 3, Merry Christmas. Woohoo! All right. Thank you so much for being with us for the holiday service. God bless everyone that made it a joy-filled event, the attendees, the people behind the scenes. And we extend a very deep gratitude to John Dumas for being with us for today and helping us. And we're grateful that he's alive. Survived some illness and all that, so God bless. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we go, God is, I am, we are, and so it is. Peace be with you all. Thank you. Good. Thank you. Thank you.